Hey guys, today I'm going to introduce ML pipeline. So let's quickly go to the pipeline file. So this is the architecture I'm going to introduce today. It's the situation where you like to migrate from the database to the data warehouse using the pipeline or the orchestrator. In this architecture, I'm going to use the Cloud Composer, which is basically the orchestration service in the Google Cloud Platform. And the underlying architecture is the Apache Airflow. Also in this architecture, I'm going to use the Vertex Workbench to import the DAG to allow this whole architecture. So let me quickly bring the console here. So right now I'm in the Cloud SQL console, so you can navigate to type the Cloud SQL and you can open this SQL UI. So I already prepared the components for today's architecture, but you can create Cloud SQL instance. And for this, I'm going to use MySQL. So choose MySQL and you're just going to type the instance name, for example, the test. Create the password, you can just generate and choose the database version. Also the region and also the availability. So I'm not going to create the second one as I only have this. Also the for this architecture, we need to create the data sets. So I will actually create the data sets here. So let's say the dest and data set. Data location, I'm gonna choose the US Central one. So I'll create a data set here. Um, also, I'll create table. So this table will be the destination table. And in this schema, let's create the ID and also the item. So ID will be the integer values and item will the string. So quickly come back to the SQL console. So now we're going to basically make the database and then create the table to prepare the source data set. So let's open the Cloud Shell. This is a virtual environment to use the shell command, a Linux command. So it's provisioning for moment. Also, meanwhile, I can introduce. So basically, this is a notebook. So it's a workbench. I already prepared this learner. So please open up your Jupyter Lab. And here's the today's architecture. Basically, the source code of the DAG. And it's the provisioning. So it's starting the Cloud Shell. So I'm gonna go to the gcloud SQL Connect source instance and user. So this will allows you to log in into this Cloud SQL instance. So it's connecting, and so because I set the password, so that this instance will require you to type into the password to log into the instance. So it might take a little time. So you can also create the composer environment while waiting. I also prepare for this. So this is data transfer and use central. And the version is the 2.0.2. Using Airflow version, it's 2.23. So come back to the Cloud Shell. I'm gonna type the password here. So it's connected to an instance. Now you'll create the database first. So in this case, it actually has the database already, but you can create database in this way, and you will set the database. Then you will create the table to use. So this table is named the tasks, and the schema is ID and item, and the respective field is integer and the string. So actually, I already have this table as well. And after you can type the insert into this table, specify the schema field with the values you like to insert. So these values is actually already existed as well. So it shows a duplicate, but when you first type in, I can quickly insert all those values. So now I'm gonna switch to the this Vertex AI console. So here we'll create the DAG file to allow the structures. So this is the connector using, but basically the Apache Airflow's providers hook. So you can see this is the MySQL hook is in this line, and you can also see the BigQuery hook in this line. So here's the connector part. So basically you instantiate the each hook, and you use them to transfer data. So here I'm gonna write this transfer query. So first I defined the query to use. So in this case, I'm gonna use the select, so ID, and also the item from source database tasks to get these items. Then what you need to do is the data frame, and this is a pand read SQL query, and here you will type the query and also the MySQL engine. And then this data frame use the BigQuery hook, and basically the method is instant O, and type in the project ID and dataset ID, table ID, and also the rows. Then finally the fail on error. So let's prevent the uh, skipping this task. Okay, so right now I'll type the this project name. So I'm gonna bring this project name here, and dataset is just a dataset name that I created. So there's a dest a dataset, and the table is the destination table. And the rows here, I'm actually going to use this data frame, and a method is the dictionary, and here I'll use the records type. So let's close the screen, and that's all. All right, so I'm gonna light this DAG file. So as you can see, here exists a DAG file, and now in this command Crowd Composer environment trace DAGs imports, and this will import your DAGs to the environment, which is the data transfer specified location and the source file. So I'll type this um, importing command, and you can open the Airflow web server by clicking this web server. Actually, I'll do it again. So it takes a little time, and here it appears your data transfer DAX is imported. And what is you have to do is, so for this architecture, you will use the webhook. So you have to configure the connection parameters in the Airflow. So I have the BigQuery connector and also the source SQL connector. So this is a BigQuery connector. You specify the parameter for the connection ID, and the connection type is a Google Cloud. For the SQL, you choose the MySQL, and for the host, you specify the public IP of the cloud instance. So this basically shows up in your public IP address and instance, and log in as root, and the port number is always 3306. You can additionally type the password here and just save. So if you correctly configure these connections, you can actually run this trigger the DAX, and simply imports the data from the Cloud SQL to the BigQuery. So let's see. Actually, it fails, so you can check the logs where it goes wrong. It says so. Yes, let's say transfer hook inside all. Yes, so the bigger hook is not defined. Okay, let's debug. This is quite a real situation. Bigger hook is not defined because actually the name is a BigQuery hook, so simply you can override the DAX and change the source. So this would override your DAX imports already. So um, quickly go to the DAG UI, and here again you can trigger the DAX with a newly written um, overwritten file. So go to the DAG ID and check. And here you go, it's actually queued. So we can check the logs. And so it looks like still waiting for the update. Go back to the DAG and let's trigger once again. Um, Go to the DAG ID. So it's queued again. So it's a quite common situation that you have to go in the back and come back. Um, for the DAX, so it's actually takes a little time to import the overwritten file, which is why when you trigger DAX, it repeatedly gives you an error. Basically, the error message itself is the same, but what you try to do is um, already succeeded. So here you can see the check status, it's succeeded, so the transfer is completed. When you look at the log, I can see the success status. So now go back to the BigQuery and you open the this destination table and select all and open up this destination table. And here you go, you can see the data set that I define in the Cloud SQL instance. So the data is successfully transferred to the data warehouse from the database.